If you ever found yourself Googling event planning business, let me guess, you probably found yourself extremely overwhelmed by the information that's out there. And one of the common questions that people find themselves asking, should I niche down or should I keep doing everything inside of the industry? On one hand, keeping things broad seems safer because, of course, it's more opportunities, more money, and it means growth. That's what most people think. But on the other hand, niching feels as if it's a path where you're able to build a strong brand. Yet it's scary to feel as if you may be turning away potential customers. In today's video, I will be breaking down the pros and cons between niching and keeping a broad business when it comes down to expanding your business in the event industry. And I will be sharing some real world examples that will help with giving you clarity on what you potentially will want to do inside of your business. The most important part, I'm going to give you some strategies that you can actually test inside of your business to get some real world results. And by the end, my goal is to be able to help you with knowing which path is the correct path for you and your business to attract the right clients and to scale without burning out. Hi, my name is Jessie, and on Green Eyed Ambition, we talk about all of the unsexy things about running an event industry business. I'm passionate about helping others with being able to have the success they desire inside of their business. Over the past 15 years, I have had my own event industry business in the corporate space. At first, when I first started my business, I was very tempted to do all the things. I took on a few personal events, and it really made it clear to me what I did not like to do and what I did enjoy doing. So I am someone that, if I had to be transparent, leaned to niching down, but I am still someone that is going to give you a unbiased point of view because I understand how I do my business does not mean that's how you have to do your business. So let's first dig into why someone might potentially be inclined to study broad. I find that most event professionals do start out with going very broad inside of their business. You might find yourself saying yes to weddings, baby showers, every kind of event someone reaches out to you because you just don't want to say no to money or you just really want to have more exposure inside of your business. And for those of you that go this route, it really can work in your favor, especially for you that are in smaller markets that are really trying to grow up your local brand. And since it works in your favor, sometimes what happens is you're tempted to continue to go broad because you feel as if there's this fear of missing out on potential opportunities. You may even find yourself extremely thrilled at the fact that you might be your neighborhood or your community's go-to planner for all things events. But here's the trade-off. By doing things broad, you will find yourself being extremely scattered. Most companies that do go this route, because they are trying to market to everyone, it just causes confusion. And where there is confusion, that could potentially be turning off clients because they don't know what you do or how you can potentially solve their problems. Often on this channel, I like to talk about the importance of understanding your target market. And the clearer you are able to market your services to your clients, it really makes them have this no-brainer approach as to why they should be working with you because of how clear you are. And by knowing your target market, that also allows for you to have your systems down that are going to be geared towards what that type of client is looking for when it comes to processes, communication, as well as how to execute that specific service. One of the biggest challenges I find businesses face when they're trying to go too broad is that they're finding themselves having to reinvent the wheel each and every time. And when I'm mentioning reinventing the wheel, I am not only talking about red, blue, different types of themes. I'm talking about how you actually execute your services. So when you're reinventing the wheel each and every time, it ultimately impacts how you're able to scale your business to whatever you're desiring to have accomplished inside of your company. That's why so many planners feel like they're constantly hustling without actually growing. And that's something that I felt in the beginning when I first started my own business. So I am not speaking from a place that I've never tried it. I did try it and I found that it was extremely exhausting when I went down. So now let's dig into why you may want to niche. Niching is how you master your skills and creating a great reputation. It helps your brand stand out because people can clearly know what you do, how you do it, and how you solve a problem. And you will always hear me say how to solve a problem because I understand that sometimes in events, we can just think it's just an event. You are solving someone's problem. Someone could decide, you know what, I want to plan my whole entire wedding because I feel as if I need to do this. For those of you that are planners, you are solving the problem of the person that doesn't have the time, that doesn't have the creativity, that may be limited on just how to even execute this. So it does not matter what service you provide in the event industry. We all solve a problem. So this is why you do want to have clarity on your target market. And when you're able to niche down, it actually allows for you to speak in the terms in which your client understands. One of the best perks to actually niching down is that it will help you with letting your brand stand out in a market of 2025, where it feels as if there's all of these competitors in your specific industry or area. I'm going to let you know firsthand, as someone that works in a corporate space, that is far from the truth because everyone has a different message in which they're putting out there in a marketplace. I am not the same thing as my competitors because I'm clear as to whom I serve, how I serve them, and what their challenges are. So it allows for me to continue to dig into how I am going to serve those individuals. So some of the hot niches that are really popular right now, and I've actually even talked about this on my Hustle Free Entrepreneur podcast, because I had an amazing speaker. Her name is Jennifer Allen, and she specializes in micro weddings. So I will make sure to put this in the show notes because I want you to actually check out this podcast. And she was talking about how she's been able to build a very successful business by specifically solving a problem for people that do not necessarily want to do large weddings. It's not because of the price, it's because they just have different reasons for doing micro weddings. So micro weddings are growing exponentially in the wedding industry. But you may be sitting here thinking, in my area, micro weddings are not. But if you don't take the time to research it, you're going to feel as if that's the case. But there is an opportunity. And I am one to say, when you're building your business, you want to build something that you actually enjoy. So even though I'm talking about micro weddings, but you're someone that loves over the top events, that may not necessarily be your thing. So this is why when you're thinking about a niche, you want to do a niche that actually matters to you. Another niche that is really growing right now is corporate retreats. In fact, I've seen a ton of coaches in the business coaching sector of the world that a lot of corporate retreats are really being popular. So if you're someone that wants to do travel experiences and you want to work with companies and you really love to think about like company culture and team building, that is a great opportunity for you and your business. If you're not present to what are some of the challenges people are facing right now, then you won't know that you can potentially use your skill set to solve that problem. Another really popular niche right now is experiential activations, which again, I did do another podcast about. So I am not going to repeat myself and the conversation we had, but she is technically a competitor of mine, which we are not in theory because we have different types of clients we serve, but we somewhat do the same thing and occupy some of the same space in certain ways. But her name is Rebecca, and we actually did a really great podcast together as well. And we were talking about this new trend in experiential activations. And that's for those of you that are really great at branding and marketing and creating spaces where people feel as if they are part of a brand. So for those of you that really love being creative and thinking outside the box, that is a really great opportunity. And there's a ton of really great opportunities out there, but you have to take the time to do research because if not, you can find yourself building a business that you really do not desire to do. After doing two personal events, I clearly knew I did not want to do personal events. I love looking at photos of weddings, and this is wedding season right now. I love them. It's gorgeous. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. I would just want to attend. I do not want to plan them. And I'm clear about that. Whereas some people, they really love to do baby showers. That's their thing. Like there's not a right or a wrong. It just comes down to where you are, what your skill sets are, and like what are some of the problems that are existing right now in the marketplace? Because when you are able to articulate that in a way that people can see how you're solving their problems, I think is such a game changer. So now that we've kind of dug into like what it means to niche down as well as what it means to be broad in events, I want to now start talking to you about strategies in which you can potentially start to apply in 2025. Here's the good news. All of the industries inside of the event industry are actually growing, and it's even growing on a global scale. But it comes down to, again, what you're choosing inside of your business and how you potentially want to grow your business. So I want to let you know that you don't have to marry down to what niche you want to do. In fact, even if you want it to be broad and just do a specific type of service. I'm not here to tell you yes or no. I am here to just give you some business advice that I don't technically see inside of our industry because I want for you to really truly build something that you love. So here's some strategies in which you can potentially apply inside of your business and test it out. The first one is that if you are looking into potentially niching down, I want to encourage you to pilot out what your niche will be. Try marketing one type of service for 90 days and seeing how the inquiry flow improves. I will give you an example of someone that I spoke to on the podcast earlier this year, and they specifically do cinematic wedding videography. So if someone wants to get just someone taking photos or things like that, she won't even do photos because they specifically do cinematic videography. And the reason why is because from a marketing standpoint, someone that just wants basic photos because they're just trying to get it out or they're just trying to have simple videos, they're not going to want to hire that person. So niching down, I would say take time to even see what can be a potential niche or what's missing in your market. If you're someone that does balloons, don't say everyone does balloons. No, they do not. Like, yes, they use balloons, but there's a way that you can solve a problem. So what I would recommend for you to do is just to take 90 days to see if I was to take away a specific service, how can I market it accordingly based on my target market and my local community? And do it for 90 days. I specifically do this is how niche what I do is I specifically do community events for residential communities as well as housing authorities. You're like, Jesse, what? Yes, I don't do anything sexy. In fact, all I do is have the ability to create really fun experiences for people. That's all I focus on. It's just fun and allowing for people to know their neighbors. And I have mastered it because what I did was when I first started my business, I was getting myself very all over the place and I was very distracted by anything shiny. But then when I realized, okay, in order for my business to do well, I only need to, in this specific market, because I did market research, I was able to find out this is the amount of potential clients that are there. And if they're spending X amount in a year, I only need to get 2% of the market share to have a business that is actually very comfortable. That's the key. Depending on where you are and who you serve, and if you know what the average person is spending in that specific market, you don't need the whole industry. You don't need the whole market share in your area. You don't. Depending on if you're priced right, that's the key. Because if you're not priced right, then that might be very much so the case. But if you're priced right, you'll be okay. So I challenge you. For those of you that want to niche down, you don't have to make it so micro niche, but I do think that sometimes what happens is that people get so used to saying yes that they're saying no to the success that they can have inside of their business. And I don't want that for you. Once you take time to do this for 90 days, I'm going to challenge you to evaluate your profitability. This starts by you looking at your numbers and looking at what events bring in the most revenue and the less stress, because that is the key to scale. If you make it complicated, it's hard to grow. I'm going to repeat that. If you make it complicated, it's very hard to grow. So even if you decide I'm still going to keep myself broad, great. Now, how can you streamline your services and the way that you're actually executing? Because if we're going to do all things, awesome. But how are you going to make it easy for your team, for you to hire a team, for there to be less mistakes, for you to grow your business? If it's complicated, it's hard to grow. So when you look at your numbers over that 90-day period, see what your average client is spending with you on specific services. So if you're someone that is possibly doing baby showers plus corporate events plus birthday parties plus anniversaries, hopefully you're using a CRM because I talk about the importance of having a CRM. I want you to compare how much are people spending on each one, on average, each one of those services, because it might be that you're offering anniversaries and birthdays and baby showers, but you're making the most money and the most profit on your anniversaries. But if you're not keeping track of that, what will happen is that you're putting all this effort into birthday parties when in reality, if you really master doing amazing anniversary events in your area because where you're located at, that could be where you should be putting your energy. But if you're not evaluating your profitability, you just really won't know what's working inside of your business. And that's something that happens when we're just doing things too broad. And as things are continuing to increase in the marketplace, it's going to be even more important for you to only do the things that are going to be profitable inside of your industry, niche, and region. The third strategy I'm going to recommend for you to do is still to keep some flexibility, because if you're in a smaller market, yes, if you are niching down too much, there may not be opportunities to grow. So I do recommend, if you are in some smaller markets, it might be okay to stay broad locally, but you may want it to be that your niche on your online presence so that you're able to attract destination or specialty clients. So online presence, you're going to have clarity in how you're marketing what you do, because people will still reach out to you for other services. Like, I've had it where some people like, well, if I just show that I do X, Y, and Z, and I do all of these different things, that everyone will reach out to me. In reality, when you're able to market clearly, what will happen is that you will be able to attract more people, because people understand what you do, and then they'll be curious as to if you're able to help them as well. So this is important for those of you that are on the fence about doing it. So when you take advantage of doing these three strategies of trying to pilot out what your niche would be, because you're going to do market research and see what's going on inside of your specific region, I want to then challenge you to evaluate the profitability so that you're able to make a informed decision as to what is really making money inside of your business. Then you want to still keep some flexibility for those of you that are in smaller markets, so that you're able to still have a thriving business, but from an outward online presence, you do still want to market clearly so that you're able to have a clear message on your platform. Once you do take those three steps, you will now get clarity inside of your business without any guesswork, because you don't want to guess as a business owner. And often when I'm talking to people with my strategy sessions or my honeybook services, I'm always kind of challenging them to think about, how do you make your business run smoothly? And are specific services really necessary for you to be able to offer? This is important because 9 times out of 10, I'm finding that most people are finding themselves challenged with understanding, should they be doing things broad or niche? And when they are doing things broad, often there's something that's happening that's impacting their scalability, because it's hard to rinse and repeat when we're having to reinvent the wheel each and every time. Learning how to streamline your services is going to be important for you when it comes to understanding your numbers and your workflows, because that is really how you know how healthy your business is. And once you see where your strengths are inside of your company and the real market opportunity, it's going to become so crystal clear as to how to position your business for growth, so you don't find yourself being the victim of the jack of all, the master of none. So it's not for me to tell you if you should be going niche or broad. The truth is that both paths can work, but the key comes down to being intentional with the type of services you're offering inside of the market in which you're participating. And going broad does give you exposure, but niching gives you focus, freedom, and the ability to scale without chaos. So if you're sitting and watching this specific video and you're not quite sure as to the direction you should be going at this specific moment, I do have strategy sessions that are available for those of you that are wanting to learn more about how to structure their business inside of their specific market, where we'll talk about your numbers, your market, your workflows, and how to go about hitting the goals in which you're desiring to hit. I hope that this video has given you some things to think about inside of your specific business. So I'm curious to know from you below, if you are thinking about niching down, what niche do you want to go? Or if you're just like, I'm still going to do it all, let me know and comment below. Until the next time, peace.